Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a blessed day in Jesus' name. I wanted to hop on this morning and read a little review we got. It's actually our first 1-star review. Every other review has been a 5-star, so I wanted to take some time to discuss my thought behind this and just shed a little light on what happened here. I'm not one to reply and just kind of like an attack the homeowner, but I want to just bring to light the entire process that happened. Okay, so I'm going to read the review. I would not recommend them to replace my daughter's roof on her dollhouse. So you see he's already starting off very sarcastic, and it probably would cost me $5,000, he says. It took them 5 months to start, and also they never put a tarp on my home. So, first of all, he was assigned to us from a salesman, and he had contact to the salesman, and he has a contract with us and not the salesman. On the top of his contract, it clearly says that he is in contract with Ludovici Construction. At the very top of the contract, I put my personal cell phone number on each contract because I want to make sure that when a customer signs a contract, they understand they're not doing the process alone with a salesman. The other part that I want to bring up is in our terms, number 3 clearly says that no salesman can make any decisions. And I want you to put that in your pocket for a second because I'm going to come back to this. The next thing it says is another 1.5 years to give me the final bill. So the reason for that is when an insurance company does not pay the estimated amount, we provide an estimate for every claim. The insurance company provides an estimate for every claim. When there's more than just a roof and there's interior, insurance companies tend to forget how much it costs to dry out a house or to remove mold from a house and all of the people and trades that are involved. So what we do is, because we know they're going to come back to us with a lesser amount, we try to list everything on our estimate that could be done. And we are willing to negotiate just like every claim, every contractor always does. We're not in this to sue every insurance company. In this circumstance, they had interior done. The homeowner allowed us to send a specialist, a scientist, to test the interior for mold and to get moisture readings inside because there was damage. There was no sign or trace of the homeowner ever reaching out to the company, which is us at Ludovici Construction, and never replied or mentioned, that he asked in this review that he asked the salesman for a tarp. If we knew that he wanted a tarp to cover his house, we would have simply put a tarp on. A lot of times, insurance companies need to know that you're putting a tarp before you do it. So I have to do my research and find out why a tarp was never put on, if it was discussed. And I can only imagine that the reason we didn't do that is because insurance companies tried to settle, not pay for tarp, award the roof, to cover determination the roof and pay in full so that they don't have to pay for the tarp. I'm going to do probably another video about this to do some more research, but I wanted to just shed some light on the fact that we strive hard for 5 stars. We take every client serious. And if a client doesn't take their own home serious and doesn't reach out to Ludovici Construction, who they have the contract with, and doesn't thoroughly read the contract that clearly states number 3, saying no salesman can have authority in deciding for anything. Homeowners, if you call your salesman and they don't do what you want, that's why my phone number is at the top. I'm apologizing in advance, but I'm also going to apologize that you should read your contract in full. And when you sign something, if you have any questions, which I'll get to, you should ask. What reason do we have on our contract that a salesman does not make any decision? And this is a reason. If a salesman tells me to put a tarp on the roof, I'm going to ask the salesman, did they get permission from the insurance company? That's most likely what happened here, that we got shot down from the insurance company. So moving forward, let me read the rest of this. It asked for, I asked for the final bill and it took a year to get. Without one of the so she, she, I don't want to say he or she. She said that without our bookkeeper, we would probably dragged it on for another year. Some more sarcasm. And I'm sorry you're dealing with that. And then when they gave it to me, it was overpriced. If you do deal with them, ask plenty of questions. Look at that. So if you sign a contract, you should ask questions. If you don't understand why a salesman is very clearly stated that they don't make decisions, this is the reason. They can't just put a tarp on your roof. The reason my phone number is at the top of every contract is to be personal with every customer if they have a hard time with their salesman. The other thing is, in that same section where it says number 3 on our contract for salesmen, number 11 or 12, I forgot which one, it says you cannot hire any other contractor. We are a GC. We handle the whole claim. We were going to do the roof. We were going to do the interior. Before we got to any interior, we hit a wall. The wall was their insurance company did not want to pay our price for the interior. This particular customer reached out to the company that we had quote the interior and hired them directly. Yeah, you heard that right. They went, broke our contract. Number 11 says you can't hire any other contractor. We're your contractor. Broke our contract and hired another company. One that we introduced them to come get a quote. Like I said, we quote for insurance and we list everything because we know they're going to lowball us. That doesn't mean that that's the price. That just means what we're trying to get. So when this customer mentions overpriced, okay, is that part of asking questions? I would ask the customer if we could have the conversation. Yes. Why would you pay your bill if you had a feeling that it was overpriced. We didn't even get a question to the bill. In fact, when we sent the bill, I had their deductible on the bill. Because we didn't do the entire claim and they played contractor themselves, I simply put the amount that we estimated for the roof on an invoice and sent it to them. When I realized the deductible was also on there, I replied to the same email and said, forgive me, I included your deductible, which was $4,500 or $5,500, whatever it was, without them even mentioning that it was overpriced. So I did that just because we stand on good morals. When I figured out that I made a mistake and I wasn't going to overcharge them, which maybe I could have, I realized there was a mistake in the invoice. I immediately made the correction and said, sorry, you're not responsible for your deductible because you broke contract and hired somebody else. I'm just coming for asking for the amount on the estimate for what we did, which was the roof. That's all that he or she owed. That's all we requested for payment. So I just have a really hard time with this, and it hurts my heart that somebody can actually go on here, say that they've overpaid for something overpriced, which in fact their insurance company paid a lot of this bill. The second part that they feel overpriced is because they chose not to supplement. A supplement is what the insurance company doesn't pay, the gap between what they pay and what we charge. This customer chose not to supplement. They wanted to have it done with and over with. That's another choice. Just like you chose not to call me for a tarp, you chose not to have your salesman explain the whole contract and ask questions to what number 11 and 12 with. You chose to hire behind our back another another mediation company. You chose to not ask questions when you saw the invoice. You chose not to comment, why did we lower your bill without your deductible being included? You chose to pay it in full without any question of what the invoice was. And then you chose to give us a 1-star review without telling us any of this, because we would have made it right and been clear if you had a problem with anything along the whole way. So I'm just encouraging you, every homeowner, if you have a situation and if you have a salesman, that's not me. We all are the same. Call me. My number's on the top of the contract. Ask questions. If they're not clear, call me. My number's on the contract. We fight for clarity. We fight to remain in great communication with our customers so that we can truly serve you the best way possible to receive the 5-star review, and we deserve. I feel that this could be avoided. I'm going to do my best moving forward with our bookkeeper to ask questions in the invoice stage to say, hey, are you satisfied, or is there any questions on why your invoice is this amount? Or what could we have done differently to make this a better process? Something along those lines. So as we continue to grow, we're going to continue to serve in a different way and just ask those different questions. I hope this finds you well, and I hope this answers some questions. And I just want to be accountable. also to some of the mistakes that happened during this. Explain from our side what happened, and then also ask for forgiveness to who we obviously hurt somebody in the process. In Jesus' name, God bless you.